A lot of founders think the SBIR strategy is simple. Submit broadly, take a lot of swings, see what lands. That mindset is about to get a lot more dangerous because starting in fiscal year 2027, proposal limits are coming. And if your model depends on volume, the rules are changing underneath you. Hey everyone, I'm Corey, a lawyer helping entrepreneurs decode law, technology, and innovation. This video is a part of our 7-part series on the new SBIR law and what founders need to understand now that the program has been reauthorized and updated. Today we're talking about one of the quieter changes in the new law, but one that could have a real impact on how repeat applicants plan. SBIR's proposal limits are coming in fiscal year 2027. So here's what we're covering in this video: what the new law actually requires, why Congress added proposal limits, why this matters more than it sounds, how agencies may implement the caps differently, and what founders should be doing now before fiscal year 2027 arrives. Let's start with the big headline. Beginning in fiscal year 2027, each federal agency's SBIR or STTR program office director will be required to set a limit on the maximum number of Phase 1 and Phase 2 proposals a small business can submit. That's a major structural change. It means the old assumption that you can just submit broadly without a formal ceiling is no longer safe. Congress is now saying that agencies need to set boundaries and founders need to plan inside those boundaries. So what this means in plain English is that if your company's non-dilutive strategy has been built around high proposal volumes, multiple topic submissions, wide solicitation coverage, or a repeated take more shots style of a model, you're going to need to start rethinking that now. The environment is moving away from this unlimited optionality. So why has Congress made this change? They framed it in a way to reduce administrative burden, and that tells you something important. The concern here is not just about founding team behavior. It's also about agency overload. If a small number of companies can submit very high volumes of proposals across many topics or solicitations, that's going to put pressure on the review system. That pressure can distort the competitive environment for everyone else. So the new framework is pushing the system towards a more disciplined approach on both sides. Agencies will have to define the rules more clearly, and companies will have to make sharper choices. This is actually a bigger deal than it sounds. I think a lot of teams are going to underestimate this because they'll hear a proposal cap and they'll think, okay, this is another annoying administrative rule, but that's too shallow. For some companies, the proposal volume was not just a habit, it was a business model. And so when Congress changes the structure around submission volumes, it's going to change how companies allocate their time, energy, and resources into the broader SBIR, STTR process. Specifically, companies are going to now have to pick the right opportunities and execute with discipline. And that's the real strategic shift here. Now, on the other hand, agencies will not all do this the same way. This is another important point for founders and teams that they're going to need to understand. The law requires agencies to set limits, but it does not force every agency to approach this process in the same way. For example, some agencies may impose a limit on a fiscal year basis. They may impose it on a solicitation basis or a topic basis. That's going to matter a lot here. For example, a fiscal year cap changes the annual planning. A solicitation cap changes how you think about each cycle and how quickly you want to try to turn around your applications in the process. A topic-based cap changes how widely you can be spread across technical opportunities. So no, the rule is not going to feel identical everywhere. And that means that the smart move is not generic. It's going to be tailored to your specific case, to the agencies that matter for your specific product, and how you create a strategy to target those agencies. Now, yes, the law does include a waiver process, but you should be very careful here because the existence of a waiver does not mean that there's some easy workaround. The waiver is for time-sensitive, urgent, or mission-critical matters. In shorthand, it has to be justified, it has to be approved, and it is limited. So if your strategy is don't worry, we'll find a waiver, that's not likely to be the smart strategy here. So what are the biggest mistakes to avoid here? Treating this like a late-stage operational issue. It's not. It's going to affect how you prioritize topics, how you allocate internal resources, how you use outside support, how you decide which opportunities are real opportunities and which ones are just noise. If you wait until the 2027 fiscal year solicitations are active to start thinking about this, you're already going to be behind from a process standpoint, because by then companies that prepare early will already have better filtering, they'll have better process, they'll have better internal discipline. On the other hand, I actually think this helps serious teams. In fact, it can make you stronger, because if the system becomes less friendly to a pure volume play, because it may create a more favorable environment for companies that are more selective, more commercially grounded, more aligned with the actual problem they are solving, more thoughtful. And this is good news for disciplined founders and disciplined teams. So What should you do now? You should audit your current application model. If it depends on a large number of submissions, assume that model may need to change. Second, identify which agencies actually matter most to your company, because agency implementation may vary, and you need to know where your real opportunities live. Third, build a stronger go or no-go process. In a capped world, submission slots are going to matter even more, so every opportunity should be pressure tested harder. You need to ask, is the fit real? Is the commercialization logic here? Is the customer need clear? Is this actually worth one of our shots at a slot for an SBIR or STTR funding? Fourth, you need to update how you talk about the non-dilutive strategy. If you're discussing SBIR with investors, your board, or internal leadership, your language should reflect that post-reauthorization framework is becoming more structured and more selective. That doesn't weaken the opportunity, but it does mean that the company has to compete on focus, not just persistence. The bigger picture here is that Congress has reauthorized the program through 2031, but it also made clear that the system is supposed to run with more structure and more discipline than before, and proposal caps are part of that story. The companies that benefit the most here will not be the ones that panic. They will be the ones that adapt early and apply discipline to their process. So let's recap. Starting in fiscal year 2027, agencies will be required to set proposal caps. Those caps may be structured differently by agency, so this is not a one-size-fits-all planning issue. The old high-volume mindset is getting weaker, and the founders who win here will be the ones who are more selective, more disciplined, and more strategic before the caps fully arrive. This is not just going to be an administrative rule. It's a signal that the program is becoming more structured than before. Join me on the path to decoding law, technology, and innovation to grow your business. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time.